Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Two Uncles Football Show. This is Gulu.
This is Nav.
And here we are, Nav, season finale.
The season finale, and what a season it's been. It's been breathless.
One of the best in recent memory.
Yeah, great season. I've learned some Australian. It's been eventful, and as you can see, I think I chose to have as my background what I think is the defining moment for me from this season. 2 men down, high line, and Chelsea hasn't been able to score another one until the 70th minute almost, which was quite incredible. That game was quite incredible. Maybe we'll kind of get to that in terms of our discussion, but
I think we'll also talk about our favorite games or matches of that season, right?
Let's do it.
Which one was your favorite and so on, but we'll definitely talk about. So, season comes to an end, but English Premier League season comes to an end. We still have one important game tomorrow. And
of course,
the Champions League final, which I think people are looking forward to.
Yeah, and the most lucrative game in the world, which is the Championship final as well. So
yes, it's interesting. So tomorrow Wembley, then Sunday Wembley, Champions League final Wembley. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's just back to back.
Wonder if you can get like a multi-game pack for Wembley these days.
We should have moved to London for this week. So, having said that, the season ended.
Let's start at the top.
Yeah. So
let's start at the top of the table.
Hate to say it, but congrats to City. It is what it is, and I think it came to a point where I think everyone was talking about it. Could there have been miracles and so on? And of course, West Ham, and let's see if they might just hold back City. Nothing happens, of course. So congrats to City for that. So I think if we look at the top four, of course, your dark horse, I still remember the start of the season, right? You said it. Right? You had said
Villa. Although I had I guess maybe a little over enthusiastically said that dark horse for the title. But maybe that was a slip. But yeah, I think as far as the season is concerned, Villa definitely surprised us, and I think they are well coached. Still, I think this season they definitely punched above their weight. In terms of top four, I think the season finished with City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Villa. And I think my top four I had predicted was City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and United, actually. So I'm a little off there, but I thought, at least, the team that I support, I thought Spurs would come top six. I thought top six would be good at the beginning of the season. And they finished fifth. So, of course, they crawled over the finish line in the end. But, let's not get into that. But congrats to City, four titles in a row. Arsenal gave them, they are improving, right? If you think about what they did this season. And, last season, I think they probably fell off the pace maybe like a month before the end, almost thereabouts, after they lost City 3-0 last year. This season, the title race was still open. They managed to keep the race open until the last day of the season, which I think definitely is a credit to them. But I think once City went on that run, it was inevitable what would happen. I feel like it would have been fun for Liverpool had they stayed in or sustained their challenge a little longer, but they also kind of fell off, pretty early on. But I think overall can't complain. It was a great season.
Yeah. Apart from Aston Villa, who else predicted Villa to be there? Fergie.
Yeah, I saw those clips.
And I remember it was right after Newcastle beat Villa.
Beat them 5-1.
Exactly. And Fergie said, you know what? They played good football and they would be there at the top.
And I think it kind of goes to show in a way, actually, pivoting a little bit to, obviously include my team in this. But I think Fergie probably recognized that the way they were playing, what they were trying to do was impressive, right? I think if they lost, the outcome was 5-1, they lost.
Yeah.
But I think he meant that, hey, they're playing well, they're trying to play in this way, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
So that is great. And I think the same token, I feel like Spurs, even this, picture behind me, we lost that game 4-1, actually.
Yeah.
But the stadium gave the team a standing ovation because
Yeah.
they saw that what they were trying to do, right? What that process was or how they were trying to play
Yeah.
was super impressive.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think,
And I think to your point, right? I think my top four was, at least we got, both of us got the top one, right? So
did you, yeah, actually, you probably
so
predicted City as
I
well.
had City, United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I think that's was, if
Yep.
I remember correctly, or was it Spurs fourth or something?
No,
Uh,
I think we both had Spurs out of the top
Out of the
four.
top
Yeah.
four. So
Yeah.
I had that, and of course my team will talk about that. That it was a disastrous of a season. We'll see what happens
Still
tomorrow.
redeemable in some
Yeah, yeah,
ways.
still
Yeah.
redeemable. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it is what it is. And but to your point, right? I think Spurs went on that run at the start.
Yep.
And I think we also, in one of the podcasts, we also spoke about like, hey, shall we change the top four now? Because Spurs, I think first five, six, seven, 8 games, I think were like, wow. And then came, there
Yep.
were certain injuries that you had, right?
This is the game. This was that moment,
This was the game, I
And
guess. Yeah, yeah.
even before this moment, like even before this picture, Spurs scored 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Heung-min Son scored, and it was a toenail offside.
Mm-hmm.
And had that gone in, had
Mm-hmm.
that been 2-0,
Yeah,
it could have been an entirely different season, I would go so far as to say,
that's right.
right?
That's
Because
right.
right after that, we got the two red cards, which meant
Yeah.
that both players were out for 3 games. We got those two injuries to the other two players, which is
Van
Van
der
de
Ven
Ven
was
and
injured.
Madison. Madison was injured. They were out for like a month, month and a half, or something like that. So that I think was
Yeah.
definitely,
The turn.
the turning point, at least for Spurs. So
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting. I think that run was impressive. But yeah, I think they did tail off in the end as well. They actually the results when the key players were out and injured was, I think, slightly better than when the team was fully fit again.
Yeah.
Ironically, or maybe it does take players some time to get back to the full strength, right? At least the
Yeah, yeah,
injured
of
guys.
course, of course.
Bentancur came back, he was injured again, then he went
Yeah,
out again, and he had a rough time of it, at least until the last maybe 1 or 2 games.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
yeah,
and I think we'll definitely, I'll talk about my team's injuries, which was a saga actually throughout the season. But we'll come to that in a bit. But what's interesting, I was looking at the final table, right?
Mhm,
And then Premier League, I think one of the posts, they had the first half table and the second half table, right? In terms
mhm.
of just points,
Yep,
the total points for that
yep. That
respective,
half, yeah.
which was the biggest surprise. And I'll pull it up for our audience here when we post this. But you will see the maximum points. You want to take a guess, or which team progressed the most in the second half of the season?
Which team
Relative,
progressed the most?
relative to the first half, in terms of the point difference that they
That's a good
points that
question.
they collected.
I
You
want to
might
say Crystal Palace.
know.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Crystal Palace did well.
Chelsea. It would be Chelsea then.
Chelsea,
Yeah,
Chelsea,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Chelsea. So it is interesting that Chelsea was in the second half, they won 38
Mhm,
points.
mhm,
In the first half, they had 25. Crystal Palace actually won 31 points in the second half. In the first half, actually, I'll take that back. You were right. Crystal Palace, in terms of the point difference from the
mhm,
first half to the second half, Crystal
mhm.
Palace
But
was
maybe position wise, I think Chelsea is probably,
Chelsea. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
the position
Mhm,
was definitely Chelsea.
mhm,
Um, well, actually, I don't know how it should, if we just look at not the final position, but if we just take as 2 seasons and break it down, then
mhm,
Chelsea moved from 11th to 4th, uh,
mhm,
and Crystal Palace went from 16th to 6th.
mhm.
So yes,
Yeah, there you go.
in terms of points, you were right.
I
Yes.
mean, that was spectacular. The turnaround
Just
over there, I think they're going to be formidable. And, that form also for Palace did earn Eze a place in the Euro provisional squad, but,
yeah.
he was definitely recognized. And man, their front three of like Mateta, Eze, and Olise was just incredible. They were like fun to watch, you
So
know?
who's yeah, and Glasner is amazing, right? What a
Yeah,
turnaround that would be. And
yeah. So let's go. So we've talked about the
yeah.
top four. The European places, I think, pretty clearly, at least Spurs are in the Europa. I think the other three teams are still sort of a little bit in limbo because if United lose the FA Cup, I think it's Chelsea and Newcastle in the Conference League, or Chelsea in Europa and Newcastle in the Conference League. But if United win the FA Cup,
Hmm.
then it's like United and Spurs in the Europa and Chelsea in the Conference League, and Newcastle is out. So those, I think, it's as yet to be determined.
Correct.
The final count over there. So that's interesting. I think Newcastle
Well,
has had a strange season.
yeah.
They were. I think they started pretty badly, then they picked up the steam, then they kind of lost their way again, and they're just like a very stop-start season for them. Um, and Chelsea, yeah, incredible, man. Like I think Pochettino. By the time we're doing this, obviously we've learned that Poch has been sacked, and or not sacked, but mutually terminated the
Mutual agreement. Yeah.
yeah, mutual agreement. And yeah, he I think eventually he somehow got the team to play well and score the results, but I don't think it was still a Poch team. Like if I think of a Poch team, I think of mainly Spurs, right? Like it was high intensity, high press, just mad attacking. It wasn't like that with Chelsea, even though they picked up points.
Hmm.
I don't think they had like that intense sort of press going on in every game. But I
I,
think
I think.
for them definitely. Uh, I think their season was probably salvaged also by Cole Palmer, man. You know,
Oh
he
yeah.
scored
That
like what 22
if,
goals in the season,
if
insane. There's
I,
this.
I would like to see the statistics if we take Cole Palmer goals out of this,
Oh, yeah, they're
where
playing in the
Chelsea would end,
championship,
right?
dude. They're
Yeah,
playing in the championship next season.
man, that guy just saved them, I think.
He was incredible. Yeah,
Speaking
yeah,
of
yeah.
which, about Chelsea and Europe, okay, let's not go into Europa Conference League because again, you know my views of that, and I don't know what is that competition? I don't know, but I think uh, the permutation combination. I don't know if United win tomorrow, and we'll know in 24 hours. But I don't know if United lose, is it clear that United will get into Conference League? As best not to, basically, frankly speaking, for me.
No, no. If United lose, then you
Yeah,
have no Europe next season.
good.
Okay, you have
Europa,
no Europe next
yeah,
season.
Europa
But
I
if you
can go.
win, I think you are in Europa. So
Europa,
conference is
yes,
definitely out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But conference
So
is
it's
the
basically tomorrow. What really I think, yeah, it'll decide essentially if you or Newcastle get Europe next season.
see that
And
that's the thing. That's the
yeah,
thing. For me, it's like Europe is Europe. I mean, Europa has come up a bit. I mean, in terms of the standards. So it's Champions League or Europa. I don't think about everywhere I read. Oh, there is a chance that United will get into Europe. It's like what? Oh, that thing. Okay, let's not go there. Huh? Let's not joke ourselves, right? I mean, come on. Think about it. See, it's also the image, right, of a club and the players that you really want them to come to this club. You you don't want like, hey, I was reading about yeah, we are going to get this one and that one, like typical summer transfers. Who wants to go and play in Conference League, man? Simple as that. It's like, yeah.
no,
Are
I
you
think you
are
definitely
you telling me you can attract players just because you are in Europe in some
no, absolutely not. I
third
think
level competition?
absolutely not. I think you attract players because you're Manchester United, right? And you attract
That's very
players of a certain character because there's obviously the player. So I think there's one tier of players or whatever who are already at the top, who are like, hey man, if I don't want to waste my time not playing in the Champions League, right? I will only go to a Champions League club, etc. I think there is another tier of players who are, probably sort of the next, kind of hungry. All right, I want to get to like Manchester United because it's still Manchester United, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah. Okay.
it's going to be a rebuild, and you are not, well, whatever, it's going to be a while, maybe until you play in the Champions League. Hopefully next year, maybe the year after. You never know, right? So
Mhm.
maybe, so that's the sort of players that you probably want to attract anyways, because I don't think you want players who are like acting like prima donnas and saying, "Oh, yeah, not in Champions League. I don't even want to like look at
Sure.
you," right?
Sure.
So you
And
definitely need that
and
certain type
yeah,
of character of player.
for the way I look at it is that go for it, go for the win. It's not about getting a place in Europe or anything. Just go for the
Hmm.
win tomorrow. But I think the situation is going to be whatever happens tomorrow, whether we get into Europe or not, Europa or not. I think it's a, and we will talk a bit about that as well because the rumors have started coming around in terms of Eric Ten
So
Hag.
let's talk
The
about
league.
that. Let's talk about that right now. Let's
Before
talk about
that,
at least the FA
before
Cup. Okay.
before that, very quickly. Well, there is nothing to talk about except that the three clubs that we spoke about are relegated. So, and
Hmm.
then the promotion is we know that Leicester is promoted and Ipswich is
Ipswich is
promoted,
in.
and then we will be looking at Leeds versus uh,
Saints.
Saints, right?
Hmm.
Um, I would love to. I don't know actually. I would love to see Leeds. I think that's where we were
I
talking
think
about.
I would love. Both those teams have been in the Premiership before. I think
Yeah,
either of those would be fun. I think Southampton plays like good. They play good football. Leeds are also doing pretty well. You
yeah,
know, so yeah, I'm kind of torn, but I actually enjoy watching the championship playoff final as well. I think it's just
yeah,
a fun game to watch.
yeah. Of course.
So I'll definitely be watching. And then, of
Sunday,
course, let's
11
talk a
a.m.
little bit about the FA Cup while we are here. What what's your take?
My take is after seeing the last two games, United against Newcastle and against
Hmm.
Brighton, I was not hoping. I still remember, I think 2 episodes before this, I said among all the 3 games that are remaining, United is not going to win any. That's
Hmm.
what or maybe a draw among that, but definitely not a win. And I was actually surprised that they won against Newcastle and they won against Brighton. And the way I looked at those games and United's performance was that the back line, Martinez got back.
Hmm.
He wasn't back for Newcastle, actually. He was back for Brighton. And
Hmm.
and that was after March 9th against
Hmm.
Everton, where United won 2-0. That was the first clean sheet by United
Hmm.
since March 9th. It says a lot, man. I mean, think about it. This guy comes back, United clean sheet. They won against Brighton. Not that Brighton was playing fantastic. I think they had a up and down season. I think
Hmm.
mostly down. So if I look at those performances, and if this particular team, I'll just spit out very quickly. Onana, Varane, Martinez, Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Menu, Bruno, Garnacho, Ahmad, Hoyland. This is what they should start with tomorrow. United has a chance tomorrow.
Fair
And
enough. We'll
I
see.
can tell you my prediction,
Please.
3-1 to United.
3-1 to United. That's quite optimistic.
I know it's very optimistic. Yeah.
But that's why you're a fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the good news is that United is probably going to have the best defense they've had in the last 3 months
Mhm.
in terms of the players back and all that stuff. I think Casemiro in midfield is definitely going to make a pretty big difference. Um, so, you said Casemiro, Menu, and Fernandez
Yeah.
in midfield. Yeah. I think McTominay should play up front, man. He's your top scorer, right? He's a goal machine.
He will come, and that's why he will have one goal out of those three.
Yeah.
He'll come
So
in
I
the
think it's a
second
tough
half.
ask. I think it's a tough ask. I don't see United. You never know, man. United plays well. I don't see a 3-1 victory. Uh, I
1-0?
don't know. Actually, I would say that it could be a 1-0 victory, but I don't think it's a 1-0 like type of game, right?
Hey,
So
do
maybe
my
it is a 3-1
friend,
victory. Yeah.
my friend, say it, say it. Do you see United getting a win tomorrow?
No,
Okay, all right,
I do not. To be perfectly honest,
okay.
I do not. Maybe they pull a rabbit out of the hat tomorrow, but I do
Mhm.
not see them getting a win against. But that's the default position, right? Against City, like nobody sees any team getting a win against City. Uh, but yeah, it could happen. You know what? Actually, City again at Wembley. I remember the what was it? The Carabao Cup final against Chelsea, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Where we were actually talking about how the Wembley pitch is bigger, and so like City was also a little off. It was a very strange game.
Yeah,
Um, so you never know what could happen. On paper, I don't see United winning this, but it
but
is Wembley. It is a different pitch. It is a different situation.
yeah,
You never know.
but my point was 3-1 with the lineup which I just blurted out, right?
Hmm.
So if Eric Ten Hag comes with some crazy lineup, right, with Amrabat in there and God knows Rashford starting on the left,
Hmm.
stuff. I think my hopes.
Although Rashford doesn't he have a pretty good record against City? He has a pretty good
Yeah,
record.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. But his
Right?
nothing against Rashford. I mean, I'm not. I'm still not
I
like.
don't think Ahmad starts though. I think if Rashford is fit, I feel like you have to start him. Ahmad is good, but I don't know. I think
No,
given Rashford with the record that he has against City, I think you got to start him.
but then
It's his last
you-
chance to like sort of redeem himself as well.
but
So maybe he's motivated
I think he would be on the bench and he should come around 65, 70th minute or something like that. But if you start Rashford, then you have to put Garnacho on the left. Garnacho cannot be on the bench, right?
on the left. Yeah.
So if sorry, Rashford would be on the left, Garnacho on the right, and that's not his position. And I think Ahmad is having a fantastic
Yeah.
last 2, 3 games. I
Mhm.
just runs at the defenders.
I feel like Garnacho is going to be what on the left. Rashford is going to be in the middle, and
Oh,
our boy Anthony is going to be on the right tomorrow.
Anthony.
I can see that happening. I can see Ten Hag doing that.
That's where I I I will lose it, right? Right at the start of the game, right?
Yeah.
If I look at last 3 games, why would you not play Ahmad, man?
It's like predicting what another human is going to do, right? You never know what's going to happen. I think everybody has their opinion on this. And
Well,
again, I'm not debating whether it's right or wrong, but I think that's what Ten Hag is going to do.
we're done.
Yeah, you
I
never
mean,
know, man.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, you can't say we're done, but yeah, I don't know why would he do that. I can still see him actually. Oh, now we'll spend another 15
So I
minutes.
think against the City
But
defense, I feel like you need that pace. You need Rashford space and you need Garnacho space against that City defense, right? Hoyland is he's not he's not going to be able to hold up that ball. Like it's not a hold the ball up kind of game, right? Against City, it's always going to be like a counter attack game where you need that trickery and speed,
one
right?
thing could be where Rashford plays in the center.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Rashford
Oh, that's
plays in
what
the
you're
center.
saying. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think
Oh,
Rashford
yeah,
is
that's
like
what you said. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Sorry,
I
yeah.
think Garnacho on one side, Anthony on the other side, and Rashford in the middle, because then you have like three runners, right? City is going to dominate the ball and do their tiki taka for like majority of the game. But when you need that sort of quick release, and that's why you need Bruno because he can find the players, right? And Ra- like it's not a game for Hoyland in my opinion. He's not
Oh,
that type of player,
okay.
right? So, you know,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be very interesting.
We'll see.
I hope to see the
So,
most of the game tomorrow. I think I'm probably going to miss the last 20-30 minutes. But yeah, good luck. I think it's going to be a good one. I think United will definitely be motivated. City will be even more motivated, or as motivated. I think it's going to be fantastic. But let's move on from that, and let's talk
What?
about some topics. I'll pick it up some topics. I think we'll try to sort of cover as much ground as we can here. Managerial sackings, right? I think who have we lost this season? We lost Poch, we lost Hodgson, we've lost Heckingbottom, we lost De Zerbi. Um, may they all find employment except Hodgson. I think Hodgson should just enjoy his retirement.
Exactly.
But I hope the rest find good employment. Anybody else? Did I miss anyone?
We'll
Uh,
see tomorrow.
well, the season's technically over, so I think
No, no,
it's.
no. No, 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 no. Oh, well, okay, that way.
I
Yeah, yeah.
think like the Premier, like we lost these in the Premier League season. I
In
know
the
the
Premier
season
League
is
season.
not. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. In that sense, yeah. In
yeah,
24 hours, we'll know. There
yeah.
could be another name added.
United season is not over, dude. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
come on.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think like out of these sackings, I think like Hodgson had to go. I mean, it was like kind of
Yeah,
a slow,
sure.
slow decline. It was tough to watch. I'm like, I love Roy, but Roy, take it
So,
easy. Hope you have a good retirement.
yeah.
And Heckingbottom had to go as well. Like
But,
Sheffield United were awful.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I
But
think
I was stunned.
Deserby was kind of. I think Deserby was kind of expected. I felt like he's definitely saw this as an opportunity to get into the Premier League, and it's fine. They had like a rough season. A lot of good, like a lot of their stars from last season were injured or not firing, right? Like Matoma was out, Sully March was out. I think Gross was out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Enciso was out. Like these were all the stars that really did like awesome last season. And even Evan Ferguson, like I think last season he had some spectacular stuff. This season they all kind of fell off a little bit. So tough season for them. He was out. Poch was so when it happened, the Poch news, I was like surprised
Yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah.
thought like dude, he eventually sort of like kind of got the team where they were in like
Yeah.
January or February to like get into Europe was incredible. I think right, one of the best sort of second half of the season comebacks. But then you kind of look at it and you sort of read the tea leaves a little bit. Even he was saying, I think a few games before, like somebody asked him, like, "Oh, so your team has a different style of playing or whatever." The journalist asked him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is the Chelsea team. This is not my team," or something
Yeah,
like that,
there you
right?
go. You get the.
So yeah, that was like some like little wow, like little,
I
you
think
know,
I think with Poch, it was a surprise. I mean, I think right in middle of season or even earlier this year, right? We were saying like, yeah, he's done, right? I mean, he will be sacked. Um, and then we saw that run, and I was surprised, like, what? Why would you get this guy
yeah,
out? And I think the challenge is with the owner,
yeah, absolutely.
Todd Bowley.
I think the challenge is with the owner in terms of I
The
think you can't have if you have such a high profile manager as Poch, right? Like, he was, I would say, like one of the almost elite managers, right?
Sure, sure.
You can't expect this guy, like, he's in for a project, he's in for all that, but you can't, I think, cut him out completely from like your transfer strategy,
Yes. Yeah,
right? Which is, I think, what kind of is what I guess I get the sense that was happening
sure.
where the owners just had their definite like business strategy of like getting these young players and like building a project and signing them to long contracts and then like getting rid of them and all that stuff, right? And I think in a way like these American dudes are probably taking parallels from you see in baseball, right? Like 10-year $150 million contract, like all these baseball players.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the mentality, and Poch was probably not with it, and that's why like again there were all these news things about like, oh, strategically they weren't aligned even though the results on the field were good in the end. I think so. Yeah, it was like Poch was probably like, yeah guys, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah,
And there was something about this that there was, it didn't make sense. I think somewhere, even the appointment of Poch and Todd Bowley and the way Chelsea was going about, exactly to your point, the transfer market, it doesn't seem like the manager was in control of, not control, but at least had a seat at the chair at the table.
yeah,
make those kind of decisions. But like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
the owner comes in and let's just do this, let's just do that.
And I don't
This
even
happens.
think it
So
was a problem probably at the start of the season where, like, Poch saw the strategy happening, then he was hired. He probably knew, okay, this is what I have like this season. What he probably didn't expect was like, oh, even going forward, you're just going to be the coach,
yeah.
like, and we'll handle all the players. Which, I think any manager,
So
like if you have like a super young and like, manager, that could work. But if you have any manager who kind of wants, and this is just parallels to like business, right? In a way,
hey,
like if I'm CEO of a company, I want to hire the right people and get the right people. And in terms of comparing that to the coach of Chelsea, he probably wants certain players to play his type of football, not just necessarily because they're like young and can have a high resale value. So
uh, and then Poch, I mean, we just spoke about the Premier League, but the unemployment market of managers is crazy, man.
yeah.
Outside of England, it's
Hmm.
Conte, Mourinho, Hill, uh, Allegri. I don't
Xavi,
Xavi,
yeah.
uh,
Tuchel,
Tuchel. I say yeah, Tuchel. Who else is there? Of course, there is Potter, who has been unemployed for quite some time.
yeah.
But man,
I have
I
a
mean,
feeling like
there are.
Conte and Mourinho are like they've done a lot, but I don't know, man.
I would
It
still.
feels like a little, like football. I think it's kind of like football has changed really since like
I think
more.
Mourinho is probably. I don't. I'm not saying he will not come back, but he's probably more towards like, you know what, I'm kind of going towards being a pundit or do his Netflix movie or documentary. That it comes across like that. I don't know if Mourinho is done with management or
No, I
is.
don't think he's done with management. I just think
And of
that,
course, there is Klopp, dude.
Klopp is going to take a
He's taking a
sabbatical,
break.
right?
He's
Yeah,
taking a break. Yeah,
he's taking a bit of a break.
yeah,
There were some reports linking Mourinho to Chelsea again,
yeah.
which is probably likely to happen. So that's the thing. I think Mourinho will probably can go back to one of
Come back.
his like old clubs,
Sure.
or he can be manager of Portugal or something like that.
Hmm.
But I don't really, or he could be like, come to MLS or whatever, right? Like,
You know,
I don't see him like some of these teams that want to like really progress and like do well, have a different kind of strategy. Like I don't see him, in these like progressive clubs, right? Even in the Premier League, like I don't even see him at a place like Brighton, and maybe that's like below his
hey,
standard.
so
But
I don't mean to digress, sorry, Nav, but you mentioned MLS. So for all our audience, I'm based in San Diego, and San Diego has an MLS team now, starting 2025 season. I read one crazy new rumor, okay? In 2025, San Diego FC is trying very hard to get Kevin De Bruyne.
all right.
And let's see, Mourinho will come here, who knows? But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, uh,
2025. Well, I think De Bruyne has probably got a
De
few
Bruyne
more in the
is,
press.
yeah,
He's what, 30? How old is De Bruyne? Close to
uh,
30, probably 28, 29 at least.
30, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I would
Okay,
believe you
so
if like 2025, you're going to get Tony Cruz or something.
actually,
Uh,
yeah, now that
yeah,
you
because he's probably like, I don't know if he's going to continue. Oh, he's retired, I think, officially, right after the Euros. So
he's retired
yeah,
officially.
yeah.
And by the way,
But
speaking of Euros, I think Southgate was also going to make a decision, or he has already made a decision that he would be leaving.
I think he'll be gone after the Euros. But
Yeah,
it's kind of awkward. I think like Southgate will probably have to sit out another season if he wants a job in the Prem or something. Because by the time the Euros and all are done, like
yeah,
teams are probably through their preseason programs, except for the players who are at the Euros.
yeah.
So then it's going to be like, and getting him involved for next season at a club would be like he'd distract him from the Euros, right?
Mm.
So I think he'll probably like quit, take a break, and then maybe try for a Prem job, for the next, not the coming season, but the next
Then the
season after
next one. Yeah. And I'm hoping that
that.
Pep is done at City. One more
Yeah,
season, no
yeah.
more.
Well,
Uh,
enough of the managers. Who was your player of the season?
hmm. I think Palmer.
Yeah, I'd have to say Cole Palmer too.
Oh,
I think
Palmer.
he was definitely,
Yeah,
I
single-handedly taking
yeah.
Chelsea from where they were to where they
Mhm,
finished. I think
mhm.
Palmer.
Who was your flop
Yeah.
of the season?
Maybe a lot of names come in Chelsea team, but actually they ended well.
Yeah,
Flop.
they actually ended well. I don't think there's too
Yeah,
many
they ended.
flops here.
Yeah, exactly. A new one or like a
Just
new
flop of the season. What did you like? Somebody who flopped this season. You
and
expected more, but they were just, yeah,
and
not good. I would say Anthony as well. I think he was definitely the flop of the season.
yeah,
Let's young
and
player of the season.
see that's the problem. Palmer comes to my head, but I think for me, and again I could be biased here, Menu.
I think you're definitely biased there.
I
Because I
think
think Menu
no, as
probably
I
for
said,
me, it feels like he came into prominence for like the second half of the season
yeah,
or
that's
towards
true.
the end.
Was also injured at the start.
Yeah.
But see, the reason I said Palmer because young player, yeah, Palmer is again. I think
Yeah,
he's
I think you can pick him for both, but let's
yeah.
say you had to pick, you gave the player of the season to Palmer, you had to pick somebody else now, for
Uh,
young player of the season.
yeah, off man. I can't think of any particular.
For me, I think again I'm a little biased, but for me, I think it's Destiny Udogi, who
Oh
was like pretty.
wow.
I think
Okay.
he was, and he's like 21, so I think he was quite incredible, and his first ever season in the Prem.
Hmm,
So
that's
I
true.
think I've got to give it to him.
No, and I think I'll go back to Menu. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
Hmm.
I'll still say Menu. I could be biased, but playing the way he played against the big names,
Yeah.
absolutely, fearless.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
He was,
absolutely.
I think
Fair
he's,
enough.
yeah, yeah.
What
And
about
manager of the season.
let's hold that. So what about transfer of the season?
Uh, you would like me to say this? I'll say, well, I think Madison.
Really? Okay. For me, I think the transfer of the season is Declan Rice. I think he was like I think the closing that gap a little bit for Arsenal to City, like as in
Sure.
over last season, like the added improvement. I think that
Right.
definitely came from like Declan Rice.
He was
I think he was
definitely a
probably,
great transfer.
he was kind of phenomenal.
Actually,
Manager of the season, I think there's only one choice, really.
you will not say it. I know.
And I'll give you a clue. It's not Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah, thanks, man.
No, I mean, I'm just kidding. So for me, manager of the season is Unai Emery,
Yeah, exactly.
right? I think he has been phenomenal, both in terms of the result, like ultimately
Yeah,
getting them into the Champions League.
yeah. And I think
Uh,
no, no, overall, and but I would like to have honorary mention of Glasner. What
yeah,
happened?
although like I mean, shorter time, right? I think
Sure,
like
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, he's done great, but I think you have to sort of look at it kind of over the consistency of the entire season, and that way. I think first half of the season is probably Ange was probably the manager of the season.
Yeah,
Also, like he won those like three manager of the month awards
yeah,
in a row.
yeah.
So first up, but I think if you look at the entire season, obviously, I think definitely
I was,
Unai Emery.
yeah, Unai Emery, no doubt. I was laughing. I thought like, are you going to say Arteta? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Uh, I think if he had like a slightly better personality, I would say, but he's just one of those. He's just one of those guys that I think only Arsenal fans could like, you know. Uh,
Fair
and
enough.
and he's so like sort of all about Arsenal, and good for him. I mean, more power to him.
Sure.
But what else? Who is most improved team?
From last season, most improved. Of course, it's Villa, no doubt, in that
Mm-hmm.
sense. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else. Yeah, I would say Villa for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take a yeah. I will here. I think I will say it's probably Arsenal for me, in
Okay.
the sense that I think as you kind of get higher and closer,
It's tough.
the improvements are harder, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, every sort of little inch is harder.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I think throughout the season, I mean, they were phenomenal, man. I think they were incredible. So I've got to give it to them for that reason. Just because the minute detail, like, the amount of improvement at that level is just like
Exactly.
hard to squeeze out more.
Exactly. And they had this amazing run, right? Where they had the like this 4-0, 5-0 wins and just beating just
Yep,
into all
easily.
the teams,
Like, leave
right?
no doubt. Yep,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
I think they have a better goal difference than City,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. They did. In fact, if it was a draw on the final day, then I think or City drew and Arsenal won, they would be on
yeah,
same points, but Arsenal would get it
Arsenal
on the
has a
goal
better
difference.
goal difference. Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
And manager of match of the season? I think I lost that.
Ma
I didn't see it.
A
I know.
match of the season for me has got to be the photo. Like, you know,
Okay.
it was just we lost. The it's. I'm going to gush a little bit about Spurs now, but I think I was actually like, I don't know what I like. I didn't know what to feel after that game. I was like, on the one hand, we lost 4-1, uh, but man, like, what a like performance, dude! Like, 9 players
Yeah,
just taking it to Chelsea. Even in that game,
yeah,
at I think 2-1, finally Chelsea scored their
yeah.
second goal in like the 75th minute or something like that. And at that point, like, even after that, there was a Heung-min Son chance
Mm,
where he almost had like a good chance. I don't remember if it was a one-on-one. I don't think it was a one-on-one, but he had a great chance to score, and
mhm,
he would probably score it like more than 50% of the time. He missed, because
mm,
that could have been 2-2 even at that point.
mhm.
But then like Chelsea scored the last 2 goals in like in added time and all that
Yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah.
When I think Spurs were even more aggressive in trying to get like the win. But I think that is the match
Your
that
favorite
sticks
one?
out just for the
Yeah.
act like entertainment, right? The entertainment. Everybody was like amazed at like what are these guys doing? It's like semi, you know, like suicidal versus like wow, you got to admire the
Yeah,
the gung ho attitude.
that game, what you
Yeah.
have there in the back, I will not forget, no doubt. But the one game which actually I missed, I was out and I didn't see, I saw the highlights only, was Chelsea City 4-4, right?
Yeah.
That was a crazy
That
game.
was a Cole Palmer game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But because I didn't see it, I saw it, I didn't see it live. But then if I take that one out, I think, are we just talking about Premier League or everything?
No, you can just pick. Yeah.
Of course,
I
you
know
know,
what you're gonna say.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
4-3
FA Cup versus
Cup
Liverpool. Yep.
quarterfinals. Yeah,
Yep.
Liverpool. And in Premier League, I think that Villa Liverpool game, 3-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that
Loved
was
it.
fantastic.
I love that one.
That was fantastic. A lot of good candidates for good games. The Villa, I mean the Liverpool United, and I think that was the turning point probably for United for Liverpool season,
Yes, they
because
start.
like at that
Yes,
point it was
exactly.
almost like how you asked me like who do you see winning tomorrow. I was like, dude, it has to be on paper, it has to be like City, like no chance. United is not like is the underdog for sure. And
Mm.
even in that FA Cup game, I was just like, yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like I don't see United winning it, but
Mm.
they just kept going.
Yeah.
They just kept going, extra time, added time. That was a fun, like
Bruno,
that was a fun game.
Bruno playing as a center back and
Yeah, yeah.
playing as a
That game had
forward.
exactly
It was crazy.
Maguire as a forward, right? It is
Exactly. It was crazy. What a game that was.
there's been a
But
lot of
then
good.
I think, yeah, Liverpool took, it was traumatic experience for Liverpool, I guess. And then after that, they just started going down.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think there were some other fantastic games too. I mean, not, I don't remember each and every, but I think the Villa, I think Villa Spurs was also great. I think it was a good one. Oh yeah, Villa United was a good one. Actually, United
Hmm.
did a double over Villa. Can you believe it? This season.
Hmm. Hmm.
First one was I think 3-2.
Yeah,
Then the second one I don't remember. Three.
yeah.
First one was 3-0, I think. Second one was 3-2, something I don't remember now. But yeah, man, a lot of great
A
games.
lot of stuff.
And actually the highest scoring Premier League season.
Season?
Yes,
Wow. All right.
1200 and something uh,
Wow.
goals scored.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, well, we'll
Yeah. Let's squeeze out what we can from the last couple of games this weekend and then take the summer off.
no, it's Euros,
Oh,
Euro 2000. Well,
maybe we
we're
should
going to talk.
do Euros podcast as well.
You have to definitely. We'll definitely talk about that. I think I was actually just yesterday. I was looking at. I download the app and looking at all the matches and the groups and everything. It's some
Mhm.
interesting ones coming up.
Yeah, yeah, it
The
should be
the
fun.
the, the opener
It's going
is
to actually be a busy summer. Yeah, we've got the Olympics as well after the Euros, so that's going to be
yeah,
interesting.
exactly.
There's a cricket T20 World Cup if you're into that. That's also interesting. So yeah, may not be able to take a break from sports in the summer.
Yeah, it should continue.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it was a fantastic season, and this is our what, 26th podcast?
yeah, it's been a long season,
Yeah,
but glad we
yeah,
started this.
we are tired too, and we need a break.
Yeah, need to take the summer off, boys. Come back refreshed for
Yep.
next season. All
Exactly.
right.
On that note, adios, and we will catch you again soon.
Take it